Good afternoon, everyone. I am Aldrencho, and for today's topic, we're going to discuss the immune system. Last session, we discussed about the lymphatic system na nireport po ito ni Mr. Gozon. So, for now, I am assigned to discuss the immune system. So, let's proceed without the further ado. So, our objectives is to enumerate the different parts of immune system, identify the types of diseases, and the importance of immune system. So bago tayo magpapatuloy, we have a short activity first. 1 to 10 lang ito. I'll giving you 3 minutes to prepare pen and scratch paper. Oh, ganun na lang. So you can write down your answers and send it to me through PM in the MS team. So, ganun lang. Pen and short or scratch paper na lang. So, the instruction is arrange the scrambled letters lang. So, hindi kayo mahirapan sa activity na to because I'll be showing you a picture and the definition of that. And i-arrange lang ninyo yung scrambled letters above. So, stress-free to kasi tapos na natin itong diniscuss about the parts of immune system and lymphatic system also. So, 2 minutes is right na lang para mag-prepare ng pen and scratch papers. The timer starts now. So the instruction is tapos na, 'di ba? So, arrange only the scrambled letters. So after basahin ko muna yung questions, then you have given 1 minute to answer that each question. So shall we start? Okay. Start na tayo. So, first question, it is not a living organism and can only grow and reproduce in the cell of the host. Again, it is not a living organism and can only grow and reproduce in the cell of the host. Timer start now. $30 left. Five seconds. Okay, let's proceed to question number 2. So it is a free living cells that can live inside or outside the body. It is a free living cells that can live inside or outside the body. Timer starts now. $30 left. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So let's proceed to number 3. It is the body's defense against infection. It is the body's defense against infections. Timer start now.
Hindi ka ba napapagod dyan? Lagi kang
30 seconds left.
dyan. Kung ako sa'yo pare, bako natapos ang take. Maaabot mo madadali. Basta tama ang diskarte. Kahabang ay
10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let's proceed to number 4. It is a fight. It fights invading germs in blood, controls the level of blood cells, it filters the blood and removes any old or damaged red blood cells. Timer starts now. Sayonara kayo siya, guys.
nang balikan. Sumunong ka at tuloy-tuloy.
Okay, 30 seconds left. Time's up. So, number 5 na tayo. So, it is a small gland in the lymphatic system that makes and strains special white blood cells called the T cells. It's a small gland in the lymphatic system that makes and trains special white blood cells called the T cells. Timer start now.
Handa ka na ba sa mga lugar na pagtutunguhan? Di mo ba nadama yung minsan ka lang natauhan? Halika at sumama sa'kin at iyong malalaman kung sino ko. Tara na, halika at sumama ka. Yeah, kung gusto mo kong kilalanin, itong libro iyong basahin. Eh di kung ayaw niyo sa akin, ayos lang, hindi naman
30 seconds left.
akin.
And time's up. Number 6 na tayo. So it is a thin tube that is joined in the large intestine. It sits the lower right parts of your belly. It is a thin tube that is joined the large intestine. It sits the lower right part of your belly. Timer starts now. 30 seconds left. Okay, time's up. Next, number 7, the soft spongy tissues that has many blood vessels and is found in the center of the most bones. The soft spongy tissues that has many blood vessels and found in the center of the most bone. Okay, your timer starts now. 10 item quiz lang po ito, a short quiz lang po. And it's very simple kasi Mr. Guzon already discussed this topic. Thirty seconds left. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So number 8 are a pair of soft tissue masses located at the rear of the throat. Are a pair of soft tissue masses located at the rear of the throat. Your time is start now. 30 seconds left. 10 items lang po tayo for a short activity lang. A recap lang to to the last discussion and also for today's discussion. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. So number 9, it filters substances that travel through the lymphatic fluid and they contain lymphocytes, white blood cells that helps the body fight infections and diseases. Your time starts now. 30 seconds left. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So the last item, so identify this is what are the two type of bone marrow? So 11 items, 11 pala to. So what are the two types of bone marrow? Two types of bone marrow. So if you done na, you can submit it through MS Team. Direct PM na lang po. Direct message na lang po para ma-record ko yung inyong quizzes for today's session. So, let's proceed to the main discussion, which is what is immune system. So, last session we discussed about the lymphatic system, and now we will going to proceed the immune system. So, what is immune system? Immune system consists of a network of lymphatic organs, tissues, and cells. So, ang atuang immune system karon is consists of lymphatic organs, tissues, and cells. So, kung mapapansin ninyo dito sa parts na to, yung parts ng immune system is parts rin ng lymphatic system. So, why? Kung ang question nyo is a lymphatic organ parts of immune system? The answer po is yes. Ang lymphatic parts po or lymphatic system is parts din po ng immune system. So, immune system plays an important role in keeping us healthy. Like sa lymphatic system, ang ating immune system is to keep our body healthy. So, when homeostasis is not in balance, the body has diseases. So, what is homeostasis? So, at ito yung homeostasis is a balance that kailangan ng ating all system in order to function and works properly. Kung hindi ito magiging balance, that's why our body is magre-respond siya or mayroon tayong diseases. So, that's it. Let's proceed. So, function. The function of immune system is to defend body against diseases using white blood cells to maintain homeostasis. So, ang homeostasis is the balance of our body. So, example of homeostasis is the blood pressure regulation, blood sugar regulation. That are the example of homeostasis that kailangan ng balance to maintain our body healthy. So, white blood cells are produced by the lymphatic organs to fight pathogens invading the body. So, as the last topic discussed by Mr. Gozon, the lymphatic organs is nagproproduce siya ng white blood cells to fight pathogens. So, what is pathogens? So, pathogens are things that infect you and make you sick. Mauna ni siya katong mga bacteria, fungi, o viruses, and uban pa. So, that is the pathogens. Not na pwede tayong magkakasakit when it infects our body. So, these are the lymphatic organs. So, na-discuss na natin to last session, but I will also i-review na lang natin ngayon because lymphatic organs is also a parts of immune system. So, we have here the red marrow, thymus, spleen, lymph nodes and vessels, tonsils and adenoids, appendix, and Peyer's patches. So, let's proceed na. Semi-review because Mr. Guzon already discussed this well. The first one is the bone marrow. The function of bone marrow is the site of stem cell production and creation of white blood cells. So, as Mr. Guzon discussed, ang bone marrow is diri siya nagaproduce og red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. So, by the way, our question number 10 kanina is, what are the two types of bone marrow? So, hindi ko na na-include dito sa PPT, but the two types of bone marrow is the red bone marrow and the yellow bone marrow. Kung mautana mo, what are the difference between the two? Sa the red marrow, mauna siya ang katong nagaproduce og white blood cells, platelets, and red blood cells. While ang yellow bone marrow is mauna siya ang fats. So more on fats na tong yellow bone marrow. So let's put in adults, red marrow is found in long and flat bones. So in adults daw, ang atong red bone marrow is naa sa long and fat bones. In children's it is most found in most bones naman. So that's it, the red bone marrow. Next, I think. So we have here the types of white blood cells: the neutrophil, eosinophil, basophil, monocyte, lymphocyte, or the B lymphocyte and the T lymphocyte. So mamaya, madidiscuss din natin tong 5 types of white blood cells and its function. So number 2 is the thymus. Located below the sternum, larger in children's shrink with age. So, critical to immunity, the function of it is allow the body to reject foreign tissues or invading pathogens. So, naga-allows din siya to na gina-reject niya tong mga tissues or mga pathogens na musulod sa ato ang lawas. So, immature T lymphocytes from the red marrow. Mao siya is na-discuss na ni again Mr. Guzon that ang T lymphocytes or gikan siya sa from red marrow siya. Move to the thymus and dito sila naga-mature. So this is the picture of the thymus. So kung makikita natin dito, wait. Hindi pala to madisam. For a while. Okay. Kung makikita natin dito, we have the left lobe. And this one naman is the right lobe. Ang tawag naman sa kanang mga ugat-ugat nga nag-consist ng thymus is the septae. Mao ni siya kaning mga ugat-ugat. Then ang kanang murag mga lingin-lingin ginatawag na siya og the lobules. Yan. So that is the thymus. Next, the spleen. So spleen is located on the located in the left side of abdomen. So the function of it is filters blood cells and destroys worn out blood cells, engulfs and debris. So kung mautana mo, Sir, Mr. Reporter, can we live without the spleen? And the answer is yes. Kaya nating mabuhay without the spleen, but susceptible to infection. So dali lang tang magkasakit. So another reason why pwede ta mabuhi without spleen is ang function sa spleen is kayang i-take over sa atong liver. So that is according to my research na lang. Research po no. So kaya nato mabuhi without spleen. So ang function sa spleen karon, which is nagasala sa atong mga naga-filter sa atong blood cells, kaya pud buhaton sa atong liver. So instead of spleen, kung wala na tayo spleen, liver na ang mo take over sa iyang rules. So that's it. Pwede ta mabuhi without spleen, pero duol na ta sa mga sakit-sakit. Next na ta. Lymph nodes and vessels. So the function of lymph nodes filter lymph. So lymph, excess tissues fluids carried by the lymphatic B cells. So na-discuss na nato ni, most made of water and dissolved substance. So the electrolytes and the oxygen. Lymph may contain white blood cells, bacteria, viruses, cancer cells, and cell debris. So ang lymph is nagakontain siya og white blood cells, na dito ang mga bacteria, viruses, and cancer cells and cell debris. So lymph nodes and vessels. Nodes can become swollen when infected. Kung mapapansin natin dito sa part, once na infected ang ating nodes, namamaga ito. Ayan, burot siya no. Diri sa atong bugan, sa atong ilok, and diri dapit. So, the function of the lymph vessel transport lymph from tissues and nodes back to the heart. So, I know na naminaw mo sa discussion ni Mr. Gozon and na-explain niya ni og tarong and nakasabot pod for sure. Okay, tonsils and adenoids. Small masses of lymphatic tissue round the pharynx. Okay? Mauna siya ang tonsils. Zoom natin. So, wait lang. The rena part is the hard palate. So, palate and uvula, tonsil, and the tongue. Ang tonsil karon mao ni siya ang diri dapit sa atong baba kanang duha ka lingin dira. Mao na siya ang tonsil. Function niya is trap and remove pathogens and other foreign materials that enter the mouth or the nose. So, ginatrap to niya ang mga pathogens like bacteria, like for example sa atong mga ginakaon nga pagkaon, na ang mga bacteria. So, ginatrap to nila. Ang trabaho sa tonsils ron is magatrap og mga pathogens, trap and remove the pathogens. So, adenoids. Adenoids like thymus shrink with age. So, when we grow older, mawala na siya murag kuan. So ang thymus pala is when we get older, so mapalitan na siya og taba, murag mawala na gyud siya when we get older. So that is tonsils and adenoids. Next is appendix and Peyer's patches. Both are located in intestinal wall. So the function of appendix and Peyer's patches is encounter pathogen that enter the body through the intestinal tract. So ang appendix and Peyer's patches makikita natin ito in our intestinal tract. So this is the appendix. Wala siya. Peyer's patches kana na siyang mga kilid-kilid lang sa ato ang appendix. So, question. Pwede ba ta mabuhi without appendix? The answer is yes. So, ang appendix karon is wala na siya role. Wala na siya laing gi role in our intestine. So, murag exist lang na siya. But, pwede ta magkasakit ing ani. So, when the appendix ma-infect siya mao na siya ang magkakaroon tayo ng appendicitis. So, question, mabuhi ba tagway appendix? The answer is yes. So, mabuhi tagway appendix. So, nganong mag-appendix man ta? So, wala pa siya clear explanation why mag-appendix, but na siya duha ka rason why. First is matrap ang ato ang mga hugaw in this tube, unsa pa ni siya kani matrap diri, that's why ma-infection siya og mamaga, and that's why musakit ang atong kilid. Ang atong hugaw is matrap diri sa kani nga excess part of our intestine. So ug matrap na ang atong mga hugaw dira and ma-infection na, mao na siyang mamaga na siya, and that's the cause nga magkaroon tayo ng appendicitis. Mao na siya ang reason. So ang in our sa atong mga tanan pagkahumagkaon, bawal magdula, bawal lukso-lukso ba daw karon kay because nakaka-cause of appendix, which is not. Kasi ang appendix daw is according to my research lang is pag ma-infection na siya, and like for example nga atong hugaw, bago na siya bago ta magka-appendicitis kanang ma-infection na siya sa ato ang mga hugaw nga matrap dira nga side. So the function is encounter pathogens that enters the body through an intestinal tract. So mao na siya. Kung mapapansin ninyo, di ba, ang lymphatic system or the lymphatic organs is same lang sa immune system, because lymphatic and immune system is parihara na sila, which is to protect and nagaprotect sila in our health sa ato ang lawas. So let's proceed na naman to immune disorder. So what is the immune disorder? So immune disorders, letter A, the allergies. So we already know that excuse me, there's some people nga daghang allergies, allergies sa pagkaon, allergies sa hayop, allergies sa ilang ex, ay di ay. So the first is allergies tricks immune system to have a response. So when ang tao is nanay allergy, mag-response jud na iyang lawas. So response is harmful rather than protective because it tracks our own cells. So kung makita nila awa ni iyang nawong dire nawala. Ang iyang nawong awa. So di ba? Mao na ang imong nawong if magka-allergy ka. Mo response ang ato ang lawas. So symptoms of allergic reaction. So hives, mao ni siyang katong mga magpula-pula na imong mga tulka, magpula-pula na imong panit and murag mo burot-burot siya gamay. Itching, swelling, tightness of the chest. So maghuot imong dughan kay nakita nimo siya nga nianay kauban. Dili di ay. So difficulties in breathing, maglisod ka ginhawa, swelling of tongue, mangmaga ng imong dila dira, dizziness, malipong, drop in BP, and anaplastic shock, kanang makuyapan na lang kag kalit, magluya kayan, ganyan, unconsciousness or cardiac arrest. So, that is the symptoms nga na kay allergic reaction. So allergic reaction sa skin contact. So, naatay ginatawag nga poison plants. So, in our province, naami ginatawag dito nga plants nga banti-banti. I don't know if kabalo ba mo ani. But nitibo mang for the information of everybody, I am a part sa I am indigenous people, which is my tribe is the Kaulo, taga Kaulo. Ayan. So naami plants na ginatawag og banti-banti, which is pag mabutang na tong tagok niya sa imong panits, murag masunog siya, kaya niya sunugan ang imong panit. So ginagamit to siya to ginadukdok nila sa sapa para mga hilo tong mga isda dito, which is ginakaon gyapon but ginalabay na tong mga lamang loob sa isda. So banti-banti ang tawag na ato. So poison plants, so naami ana sa amuang probinsya. So the next is the animal scratches, like kanang sa iring, kanang mag-allergy siya kay nakakaurasan, pollen, then latex. So injection naman, sa injection mayroon tayong bee sting. So itong bee sting, tanan na ba napaakan og bubuyog, mga tambubuan. So I already experienced that. Mapaakan akong ngabil and mata nga murag nagparitukoy ka nga napalpak kay burot na lang siya galit nga ana. So bee sting, so magreact gyapon na atong lawas ana because of that murag poison gyapon. So ingestion, medication, nuts and shellfish. So medication na uban karon that allergy sila in that specific mga tambal, like di sila pwede ana mag-react dahil ang ilang lawas magburot-burot, like ana mamula, then murag mahilo ana. Then nuts, na ay mga tao nga also kuan sila sa nuts, kanang allergy sila sa nuts and the shellfish. So one of my cousin is allergy siya sa crab, and when it times nga mukaon siya, mamula dahil ang nawong tas mamaga and magburot-burot, lain kayo tan-awon, and it takes long days na bago mawala, which is 3 to 5 days bago mawala ang iyang allergy. So inhalation naman, pollen, dust, molds and mildew, animal glandular, yan is also part of the allergic reaction. So next is edema. So what is edema? Localized swelling due to the accumulation of the limb. So mao ni siya ang katong mamaga ng mga tiil sa ankle nato, sa atong kamot, which is mao ni siya cause is kanang naa say mga matrap nga fluid tissues in our body. So that can cause edema. So can lead tissue damage and eventual death if untreated. So pwede ka mamatay if dili nato siya maagapan og sayo. So this is tingnan nyo. Nihubag ang yang pikas tiil. Ang pikas wala. So the cause of that is na ay mga nagatrap nga fluid tissue in our and specific parts of our body like sa ato ang tiil, sa ato ang kamot. Yan. Tingnan mo. Tingnan nyo pala. Loy kaayo. So ug dili nato ni siya maagapan og dali, it can cause death. Next, nali na mas balhin. Okay, next. The autoimmune diseases. So, the immune system does not distinguish between self and non-self. So, the body produces white blood cells that attack its own tissue. So, ang atong lawas is nagaproduce og white blood cells to attack its own tissues, diba? Itong mga pathogen, mga viruses, bacteria, ganon. Okay. Autoimmune diseases. So, the immune system nga, tapos na pala tayo dito. Next is example of autoimmune diseases, the multiple sclerosis. Sclerosis pala. The multiple sclerosis is the white matter, brain, and spinal cord are destroyed. So, mao ni siya ang white matter diri dapat sa ato ang brain and to the spinal cord. Pag madaot ni siya, it can cause disabilities. Pwede ta ma-destroy ang ato ang mao siya ang ginatawag og white matter nga nagkupot sa spinal cord into our brain. Pag ma-doubt na siya, ma-disable ka, it's possible talaga. Next is the juvenile diabetes. So, destroys pancreatic beta cells that produce the insulin. So, kana ang atong diabetes. Then, next is the rheumatoid arthritis. So, destroys joint. So, mao na siya ang examples of the autoimmune diseases. So, next one is the infectious diseases. Dereta. So, disrupt normal body function or the homeostasis. Yes, we already discussed that homeostasis is the balance of all system to work, to function and work properly. So, caused by the pathogens. So, what is pathogens? Muna to ang atong ang mga pathogens is anything that invades your body causes a diseases. Bacteria, protozoan, fungi, viruses, parasites, and worms. So, muna siya. So, it can be contagious. Contagious means passed from person to person. Next. Disease transmission. So, people may carry a disease without even knowing it. So, wato kabalo karon ang atong mga kasugat dira is na mga sakit. So, can be spread during the incubation period. So, before symptom occur. So, mahitabo ni siya before symptom occur. Possible. So, transmission by direct contact. So, in our direct contact, natay mga kissing. Di ba? Dili ta patahag kiss. Labaw nagdi nato uyab. Di ba? So, kissing. So, we already know that ang saliva is nag-consist po na siya og daghan kaig bacteria. And kabalo ang atong gikisan is na dahil sakit. So, it is possible, not possible but possibly talaga na magkakaroon ka rin or matakdan ka niya. So, direct contact like sabihin na natin, sex. It's also parts of transmission by direct contact. So, ganon. So, kung mayroon tayong direct contact, so, ano pa note lang, di mag-kiss-kiss ha, labaw na di nato uyab. So, tanan na ba naka-try og kiss? So, wata kabalo na atay sakit. So, careful. Be careful lang jud. Di ta patahag halok. So, next is the indirect contact. So, kung natay direct contact, napod ta indirect contact. So, through the air. So mapasa ni siya through the air. So, coughing and sneezing. Kasi kag ubo. Kasi pangatsing sa imong tapad. Tapos, waka kabalo na dahil sakit. So, it is possible na matakdan yun ka. So, next is contact with object. So, sharing drinks. Dili share sa uyab ha. So, sharing drinks. Kanang, like for example, inom kag soft drinks dira. Tapos, itungab po to imong kauban. So, which is wrong. So, that's wrong naman. Like, close na kaay mo. Like, best friend. So, tungab lang kay tungab. like without knowing nga na siya sakit. So kung ikaw kabalo ka that it is harmful para nimo, then pwede naman mag-avoid, di ba? So doorknobs, no? So doorknobs pwede rin. Manuktok bago masulod ha. Ah, doorknobs, di ba? Lahi-lahi na mugunit ana. Unsay gunitan? Doorknobs. Lahi-lahi na mugunit sa doorknobs. So, di ba, in the past years or past months, kailangan sanitize sa bago ta mag abris atong mga kamot. Napaga ito yung mga situation nga dili nakapaguniton sa knobs, sila na mo abri na authorized person lang. So, next is desk. So, sa atong lang mga lamisa, it is possible ta nga diha nato makuha ang mga sakit. Next. So, infected animals. So, vector transmit diseases kinsa man ni si vector. First example of vectors is mosquito. So, di ba? Pag ang isa ka lamok is nakapaak nimo, sana all paakon. So, without knowing nga katong iyang nakapaak na siya una sa uban. Pinaakay na. So, if ang lamok karon is nakapaak siya og tao nga naay sakit, tas nakapaak siya nimo, it is possible, posible jud siya nga matakdan ka sa sakit sa katong una niya nga napaakan. So, mosquito, di ba na? Dengue, tanan ng mga sakit karon like about mosquito. So, sila yung mga vector nga nagdala og mga sakit. So, contaminated food or water. So, di ta patakag kaon, biyaan ra gyapon ta. Dili di ay. Di ta patakag kaon labaw nag mga panos na o expired na ang mga pagkaon like water na mga sagol bakterya, ha. Di ta patakag kaon. Mabiyaan ra gyapon ta. Okay. The letter B, the agent of diseases. What is the protist? Protist feeds on the nutrients in the host blood. Example, malaria and dysentery. Mao na siya ang mga protist karon. So worm, parasitic flatworms, roundworms, like for example, the mga tapeworms and hookworms. Mao na siya ang mga agent of diseases. Fungi, attack moist area like the skin, scalp, mouth, and throat. Throat ka dyan. So next, tingnan tanawan ninyo dire sa picture. Di ba fungi? Nalata na yung tiil. So next na tayo. Next is the bacteria. So bacteria is the prokaryotes have a cell wall, cell membrane, genetic materials, and ribosome for proteins. So when we say prokaryotes, what is the difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes, diba? Prokaryotes have a cell wall, cell membrane without nucleus. So without nucleus, when we say without nucleus pero mayroon siyang cell membrane, we can natapos natin sa quiz to, it is what we call the prokaryotes. When we say eukaryotes, mayroon siyang nucleus and also cell membrane. So bacteria nga have a cell wall and membrane, genetic material, and ribosomes for protein production. Bacteria do not have a nucleus or organelles. So sinasabi na natin when we say prokaryotes, without nucleus yan. So bacteria are living cells. So living cells, so makikita natin sa ating sa ating mga paligid, sa atong lawas, makita gid nato ni di nato makita but naa ni siya sa atong mga lawas. So this one, proceed. So they cause disease by releasing toxins that are poisonous to people. So break down tissues of infected organism for food. So infectious form of bacteria like cholera, bubonic plague, then tuberculosis, gonorrhea, anthrax, streptococcus, and staphylococcus. So, treatment is antibiotics. Note, dili tanan sakit is kaya sa antibiotics because there are some bacteria and viruses na immune when it comes to antibiotics. So, antibiotic resistant. Currently, many bacteria are becoming resistant to antibiotics. O, diba? Kakasabi ko lang that there are many bacteria na immune sila to antibiotics. Kaya nila, di sila PhD sa antibiotic. This is because of antibiotics being overprescribed. So often viral infections we they have no effect on. Walay effect ang antibiotics sa ila. There are some kinds of bacteria like MRSA, methicillin resistant Staphylococcus or the Aereus sumpay ba ni siya? Staphylococcus cereus and bacterial strain resistant to antibiotics, so dili sila mamatay or dili sila maagapan when it comes to antibiotics because so like what I said, immune sila in that specific um, antibiotics. So next, mo na siya ang picture sa ay mga nagikaunog bacteria and fungi sa diri mo na siya ang katong immune sa antibiotics. So see, di ba? So kung gusto mo dili may ani, we need to alagaan natin ating self, especially our health. Next is the virus. So viruses are non-living, non-cellular structure thousands of times smaller than a cell. So imagine, kung unsa kagamay ang cell, mas gamay ang virus. So the structure of virus is DNA surrounded by protein coat. Viruses cannot reproduce itself. Virus relies on a host cell to replicate. So why? Nganong dili makareproduce ang virus within itself? So ang virus manggod when it comes to mo enter siya sa atong lawas, dili siya mo multiply dayon. Ang iyang first buhaton is infect. Pag mabutang siya ng that specific cell, i-infect niya nga cell, then ang kato nga cell na pod mo infect na pod sa uban. So dili siya direct nga pagsulod diretso na siya mo spread within itself. So ganon. A virus usually tricks the host to pull it into a cell. So virus genetic material takes over the host cell causing the cell make a new viruses. So ganon nga. So past year or months, so di ba COVID-19 virus na ata, and that is very murag traumatic happening sa ato ang kuan. So common types of human viruses: the influenza, chickenpox, polio, HIV, common colds, and herpes or the cold sores. And common type of human viruses: the Ebola, West Nile virus, dengue fever, and smallpox. Mo na siya ang mga types or common types of viruses nga naa sa tao. So prevention: vaccine prevent viral infection. Person is injected with a weakened virus. So sa sinasabi ko na nga, vaccines is dili siya naga kill gyud atong virus, but naga lessen siya or ginaboost niya atong immune system to fight that virus. The immune system can later recognize the norovirus and fight it off. So ang atong immune system jud ang ginatira. Like other, di ba? Ang vaccine is to boost our immunity to fight against viruses. So example is the measles, mumps, and rubella, MMR, or the smallpox, polio, strains, or swine flu. So treatment: viral infections are fought by the immune system with antiviral drugs. So ang mga virus with karon is ang nag-fight ana is our immune system. So some viruses are too strong and fast to immune system to fight. So naay mga uban nga virus nga that is dili kaya na sa atong immune system, nga weak, example weak tag immune system, so they cannot fight that kind of viruses. So these viruses lead to epidemics. So when we say epidemics, and over large areas lang. So pandemics is over whole country like the past year. So di ba pandemic ang tawag. So it is because whole country ang affected, not only specific areas na infect of that virus. So to treat mass outbreaks, contain the area and quarantine the infected. So, gina-quarantine jud siya, di ba? Like past, walay mo gawas, makagawas tuod ta, but like natay FM pa sa atong Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in order to prevent the spread of viruses. So, para malesen ang mga viruses and gina-quarantine ang katong mga infected, ginalahi gyud na siya in order to stop or prevent the spreading of viruses. Ganon. So it is important talaga na gina-quarantine in order to stop na nga. Paulit-ulit. So, the common viruses, the influenza or the flu virus, kills 30,000 Americas every year. Imagine. Flu lang yan ha. Influenza kills 30,000 Americas every year. So, human papilloma or the virus or HPV. Tinola gining manokron ba. So, Ebola virus in Africa, so 90% of mortality rate. SARS in China, 2002-2003, 5,328 cases and 349 deaths. So, that is mga deadly virus na siya sa Ebola and the SARS. So, I think familiar mo ani SARS and Ebola. So, let's proceed to immune defense. So, ang atong what is the function nga of immune system is to defend and fight bacteria and pathogens. So, mao na siya ang defenses. So, immune system overview. Immune system body's defense system against diseases, 'di ba? Kakasabi ko lang that ang trabaho sa atong immune system is mag-defense sa mga viruses and bacteria or pathogens na mosulod sa atong lawas. So, we have two defense system for foreign materials, the non-specific defense system and the specific defense system. So, it includes the white blood cells or the WBCs to fight infections through inactivating foreign materials or cells. So, ang tawag karon sa white blood cells is mo siya ang mga soldier of our defense system, ang white blood cells. So, pathogens or the antigens. So, pathogens, things that are infect you and contain antigens. So, antigens are like chemical markers that tell what pathogen is. So, ma-explain natin yan further on. So, the white blood cells can recognize the antigens because they have antibodies. So, what is this antibodies? Antibodies is mo na siya gina-produce sa ato ang immune system to fight antigens. So, ang kaning antigens karon is mao ni siya ang katong mga bacteria, viruses, and mga pathogens na mosulod sa atong lawas. While ang kaning antibodies mao ni ang gina-produce sa ato ang lawas or ato ang immune system to fight that antigens. So that is the difference between antigens and the antibodies. Ang antibodies is mo na siya ang ginaproduce sa atong lawas to fight the antigens, which is the antigens is consist of mga bacteria, fungus, and viruses. So antibodies are proteins that recognize and bind the antigens because they fit together. So antibodies mark the pathogens for destruction. So ang antibodies karon maunay mo fight to kill that pathogens or pathogens for destruction. Next is the types of white blood cells. Makita natin. So, phagocytes eat and destroy pathogens. So, phagocytes karon is mao ni siya ang katong types of white blood cells na ginakaon to nilang mga namatay na nga pathogens like bacteria, mga patay na nga bacteria like types of phagocytes is na siya mao ni siya ang mga macrophage, neutrophils, and monocytes. Tanawan ninyo ang picture. So, mao ni siya ang ginatawag nga sa ganito phagocytes. Mao ni siya ang phagocytes. Ano yung gilingan kaning blue? Wait. Unsa na ni? So, mao ni siya ang tinatawag natog phagocytes. Ang kani siya, mao ni siya ang kaning green, mao ni siya ang ginatawag nato katong mga patay na mga pathogens. So ginakaon na siya sa phagocytes. Mao na ang function sa phagocyte. Ginakaon niya ang mga dead pathogens, 'di ba? Oh. Unsa na ni? Clear sa nato. So the next is the eosinophil. Deal with parasitic infection. Basophils involved allergic reaction, and the lymphocytes deal with the specific invaders. The B lymphocytes make antibodies. So ang katong dito sa bone marrow, diba, white blood cells is mao na siyang nagaprovide og antibodies to fight the pathogen. And the T lymphocytes cell recognize and kill pathogen also. Cells recognize and kill the pathogen. Mao na siyang B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes is ang trabaho nila is to kill the pathogens. So pag mamata na itong mga pathogens na si phagocytes to eat that mga destroy pathogens. I hope murag paspas ra kayo ko. Next, muna ni siya itong mga pathogens versus mga lymphocytes, ano. This is ano lang. So then we have also the immune divisions, the non-specific defenses, specific defenses, and the acquired immunity. So ma-discuss din natin to. So first is the non-specific defenses. Body protect itself the same way regardless of what is invading it. So body protect itself in the same way regarding of what's in protect against variety of invaders. And fast-acting response. Lines of defenses, mayroon tayong skin. First line of defenses, skin, sweat, mucus, and tears. Immune response, the fever, the macrophage, and the inflammation. Mo sa nag-response sa atong lawas. So, first line of defense is the skin, sweat, mucus, and tears. So, why? Ang atong skin karon is also the first line of defenses. So, skin is a physical barrier to keep pathogen out of the body. So, ang trabaho po sa skin is keep the pathogen out of the body. Pag ma-crack or masamad ta, na possible that pasukan na siya og pathogen. So, cuts or breaks in the skin allow pathogens to enter. So, like for example, nasamad ka karon. So, it is possible na musulod dito ang mga pathogen and it can cause diseases naman or infection. So, ang and also ang atoang tears sa atoang luha. So naga-help pud na siya defense against diseases. So why? Ang atong mga luha dito is ang luha karon is naga-consist pud na siya og mga bakterya. Mao nang ginapagawas niya. So ang tanong, deserve ba nating umiyak? The answer is maybe. Depende og ipasakitan ka ala hilak dara makatabang pud na sa imo kay matanggal tong mga hugaw sa imong mga mata dapit. So ang katong mga bacterias and others nga mosulod sa atong mata is napundo na siya sa sulod when it comes nga times nga mohilak ta, so release tong mga hugaw and bacteria sa ato ang mata with the use of tears, di ba? So deserve natin iiyak. Deserve ta mohilak og labaw ng makita nato nga happiness sa lain. So next is sweat and mucus sa itong mga singot. So wow, kung kailangan ta panington ay kung singoton ta, naka-help po na siya maka-defense at mga bacteria. So labaw nag singot daw kalang pasingot. So and tears contain lysosome and other chemicals that kill bacteria. So naka-kill po na sila bacteria ang ating sweet katong mucus is yan siya fluid that like tears ang mga singot nato, naka-kill po na siya bacteria and chemicals sa ato ang lawas. Next is the second line of defense, the immune response. The pathogens are recognized by antigens. So, as we discussed earlier, di ba? Fever, body raises temperatures, slow down growth and replication of pathogens. Kung kalinturahon na taron, it means that ang mga pathogens is already successful na kasulod na sa atong mga lawas. So, the macrophage or the white blood cells designed to eat pathogens. So, magibalik na nato. So, ang macrophage karon mao na sila ang katong mga mukaon sa mga dead or destroyed pathogens nga nisulod sa ato ang lawas. So, I think paspas ra kayo. Next is the inflammation. Infected areas well with lymph and blood brings white blood cells and macrophages to fight pathogens. So, ganun. Next, mao na siya. Let me zoom. Masyadong skin, tissue must tell the histamine, then injured tissues cell must cell release histamine which causes capillaries to dilate and increases blood flow. Ano siya? Mo na siya ang blood clot mo na trap nga dugo sa ato ang blood vessels or the mo na siya atong capillary dapit, then blood clot and clotting walls of capillaries are prevents blood loss. Ano siya? Mao ni siya ang di macrophage. Mao ni siya ang nagakaon sa mga ano yon, mga dead and destroy pathogens, neutrophils, the monocytes, the macrophage and the dendritic cells phagocyze pathogens and release cytokines and with stimulate the inflammatory response. So next, okay, muna siya pathogens. Once na mosulod ang pathogens, like for example kanyo na pin, so pag masamad ta, is possible na this not possible but mosulod jud ang mga pathogens in that scratch area. So muna siya ang chemical signals, the phagocytic cells and the capillary of the red blood cells. So pagsulod sa mga pathogens karon, so mo response tayo ng ato ang lawas tayo ang macrophage ang katong mga deads ang katong mga macrophage or mga pathogens nga patay ginakauna siya sa macrophage. So blood clotting elements mo siya kaning mga violet red dots here. Yes. Di kay maklaro ang ato ang illustration. Next. Mo siya ang blood clot. Oops. Okay. Makikita niyo di ba kung masamad ta. So pag masamad ta, nagid na possible nga masudlan tong mga nasamad nga area of pathogens, bacteria, kanan. Mo siyang letter V is a specific defenses. Meron specific defenses naman, which is the immune system attack specific pathogens. So ang atong immune system karon is nag-attack a specific pathogen. So as we know that immune system is ang trabaho niya is to defense against viruses and or the pathogens na mo enter sa ato ang lawas. Pathogens can be recognized by its specific antigens, di ba? Lymphocyte, B cells, and T cells. So ang katong B cells karon make antibodies and have a memory. Ang T cells is recognize and kill the pathogen. So two types of specific defense, the antibody-mediated immunity. The antibodies mark pathogens for destruction involves the B cells. And cell-mediated attacks on infected cells, cells involves the T cells naman. So ang nag-destruct sa pathogens is the B cells or itong mga katong sa bone marrow nga nga mga cells like white blood cells, di ba? And cell-mediated attack the infected cells involve the T cells which is the thymus tapit, di ba? And move ang ato ang B cells to or the anong tawag natin dito white blood cells and blood cells move to the thymus and dito siya naga-mature. So antibody mediated immunity or the aka humoral immunity, antibodies produced by B cells mark pathogens for destruction by macrophage. So mo ni siya. So, primary response, first time you encounter pathogen, so 3 to 6 days to launch immune attack. So, pag musulod na tong mga pathogens sa atong lawas, it doesn't mean na pagsulod nila karon is naga-response sa dayon ng atong immune system which is no. So, 3 to 6 days bago siya bago mo launch bago mo response ang atong immune system. So, bago siya ma-respond. So, helper T cells signal B cells to divide the differentiate to produce. So plasma cells mauna siya ang naga-make og antibodies. Ang B memory cells remember antigens in case of the second infections. Mauna sila ang role of that kind of cells. Antibodies attach to antigens that are outside a cell. So macrophage engulf anything labeled with an antibody. So antibodies won't allow viruses to infect the cell. So 'di ba ang antibodies nato is dili siya Diyos ko ang manok. Okay, ang antibodies mao ni siya ang naga-prevent sa mga viruses nga to infect our cells. So mao ni siyang naga-block like that. Secondary response, you encounter the same antigens again, 2 to 3 days to response pa din. B memory cells respond faster to make antibodies. So do not get sick. Memory cells equals immunity. So cell-mediated immunity, immune system attack infected cells. The T cells carry out cell-mediated immunity. When viruses or pathogen get inside the cells, or when the cell returns cancerous, antibodies alone cannot destroy them. So dili na kaya sa ato ang antibodies to destroy them. So infected cell display antigens from the pathogens on the cell membrane. So the T cells divide and differentiate to recognize and kill infected cells. So helper T cells recognize antigen and recruit other cells to fight invaders. So engineer in command tell B cells to make antibodies and attract cytotoxic killer the T cells. So the cytotoxic killer, the T cell, kill infected cell by injecting toxic chemicals or the fipropin or the trained assassin. Mao na siya ang killer o killer T cell. Cancer cell, mao na siya ang illustration na the cytotoxic cell. Wait. Mao na siya ang the T killer cell. Mao na siya mao na siya ang nagapatay sa atong mga cancer cells and related ang katong mga cancer cells nga libog na. So cytotoxic T cell mao na siya ang killer T cells. Superior T cell release chemicals to suppress the activity of T and B cells from overreacting or harming the body. Mao na siya ang the superior T cells. The memory T cells will cause secondary response if same antigens invades again. So murag pag mo return na to nga ang mga responses, so the antigens if the same again invades them, so ang memory T cells karon is mao na siya ang secondary response. So acquired immunity. Immunity is acquired after exposure to antigen and memory B cells T cells is made. So two kinds. We have the active immunity. You make antibodies in response to antigen. And number two, like for example of this is the vaccine and the natural exposure to pathogen. Second one is the passive immunity. You obtain antibodies from another source. So another source kung ang atong active immunity is antibodies in response to antigens, atong passive immunity naman is you obtain antibodies from the other sources. So the mother's milk gives baby antibodies like that nang nagpa breastfeed ka, diba? So immunodeficiency, production of or function of immune cells is abnormal. So what is what we call the immunodeficiency. Maybe congenital or acquired includes AIDS, acquired or immunodeficiency syndrome. So includes AIDS na siya ng virus without walay tambal. So HIV or the human immunodeficiency virus is the retrovirus or RNA of genetic material. HIV targets helper T cells. Those T cells makes new HIV viruses pala. Causes slow death of T cells while making more of the virus. So naga-spread ang virus with the use of the T cells. So when we are not enough T cells, the body is left defenseless against invading pathogens. So kung mahurot wala na tay enough nga T cells in our body, so it is possible talaga na defenseless na against invading pathogens. So dali na kayo makasulod ang mga bacteria and pathogens or viruses sa ato ang lawas. Okay? So AIDS progression. Phase 1. Few weeks to few years, flu-like symptoms, swollen lymph nodes, chills, fever, fatigue, body aches, virus is multiplying, antibodies are made but ineffective or complete virus removal. So, muna siya ang progression sa ato ang AIDS. So, flu symptoms lang, swollen lymph nodes, so mga hubagang ng mga lymph nodes and kalinturahon ka, fatigue, mga nakit imong lawas, virus and multiplying, naka-spread ang mga viruses in our body. Antiba- antibodies are made but effective for focuses virus removal. So phase 2, within 6 months to 10 years, opportunistic infections present helper T cells affected 5% minute progress to next phase. So phase 3, helper T cells fall below 200 per cubic millimeter of blood and the person has an opportunistic infection or type of cancer. So ang atong helper T cells is mag-ubos na siya. So this is cause na opportunistic infections or mga cancer na ta. Person is now termed as the having AIDS. So kung mauubos na atong T cells, so na siya AIDS. AIDS is when people get sick and ultimately die from diseases they would normally fight off but cannot due to weak an immune system. So pag weak ang atong immune system, mas ganado ang viruses and bacteria to enter our body. So these diseases are called opportunistic infection, tuberculosis, encephalitis, Kaposi's sarcoma, and the non-Hodgkin or the lymphoma. So AIDS pandemic, more than 36 million infected with HIV worldwide. Imagine, 36 million infected in the HIV worldwide. Most infections in the sub-Sahara of Africa, increasing spread in Asia and India. So apil ta diri Asia, most often spread by the heterosexual contact outside the US. So mo na siya ang cause of our. So end of the slide na tayo, and if there are some questions and clarification, you can type na lang onto or type na lang sa chat box, and later on if makabalik na ko, and I will going to answer that question, following question na inyong kina-asked about our topic for today. So that's it, and I hope that we've learned something about this immune system. So to keep our immune system healthy, it is important na healthy diet and eating a healthy food. So mao na to siya. Then exercise, healthy foods, then avoid sa katong mga i-remember pud nato tong mga direct and indirect contact sa tong mga kuan, bawal-bawal nga mga dapat buhaton with that specific activities, like for example um, dapat ta mahugas og kamot bago ta mokaon, like that. And also exercise and living a healthy lifestyle na lang para makaiwas ta, pero di man jud maiwasan nga naay mga circumstances na magweaken ng atong lawas, because like for example sa ato karon, um, um, uban is working student, so nagid na possible nga ang atong immune system is nagalow siya. So it is important na take vitamins na lang kung pwede, like sa mga naga-work karon as nag-school pod, so depressed ng uban. So ang atong health is very important jud nga i-maintain nato in order for us to mura gid ni ato ang kapital ang ato ang health. That's why keep our body healthy, and that's it. Thank you, and I hope that you've learned something about our topic, which is the immune system. Thank you and good afternoon.